Welcome to Pique Your Interest, your go-to podcast for all things mortgage and real estate. Hosted by Tanner Greenwald and Tim Velasquez. We bring you expert insights to help you buy, sell, and invest with confidence. Let's dive in.
Welcome back to Pique Your Interest. I'm your host, Tim.
And I am Tanner.
And happy 2026, everybody. We are in a new year. We've got some ideas of what we think is going to happen this year, so we just wanted to bring you this episode and share some of those predictions. And I think maybe a year from now, we'll hopefully do the same episode and maybe revisit and see how accurate we were.
Yeah, sounds good.
What else are we going to see in 2026?
So I think that, I'm going to say this in a positive way. I don't mean it negative, but I think in the last couple of years, I've noticed, at least with my buyers, and I deal with a lot of first-time home buyers, they move a little bit slow. So slow getting documents, slow getting back to me, slow in general. And it used to bother me, but then I kind of looked at the psychological aspect of it, and I think that opens up kind of what I'm about to say. So I think that home buyers in 2026 will still move a bit slower in looking at homes, getting pre-approved, whatever, just anything doing with home buying. And I think that's because they've watched what the housing market has done over, I'm just going to say the last 5 years, because we've had I feel like it's just been like this, you know,
seriously.
But it really has. And they've seen that, and it scares them. So, you know, they've seen the how violent the market can be. They're scared. You know, prices are increasing and going up just all around them. So looking into buying a home, it's almost like sometimes a wall is put up and it's just not even an option right now. You know, so buyers want certainty. They want to make sure that if they're investing in something that they're going to be taken care of, you know, whether that's just customer service, but also like their money's being taken care of. So I do think that home buyers will still be moving slowly, but not at like a snail's pace.
Right.
Hopefully not, you know.
Yeah.
That's my prediction for how buyer movement will go.
I think there's nothing wrong with taking your time, especially when it comes to the largest investment you've ever made. I think if you take it slow, like, you know, one of the questions that I ask in a pre-approval is, what is your time frame for buying a house? Because I know some people are under the gun. Some people are like, hey, my lease is up in 60 days. I have to do something in the next 2 months. There's a different level of motivation there as opposed to somebody who's like, yeah, you know, I'm living at home, so I don't have to buy at any certain time, or my lease isn't up for 6 more months. I'm just starting it now. You know, generally in life, I think, and certainly in buying a house, the longer you have to make a decision, generally the better the decision you make is.
Yeah.
So when you rush into things, you tend to make bad decisions. And when you take your time, think about it, think about what you really want in a house, what you're really comfortable spending. Talk to somebody like Tanner that says, you know, hey, here are the programs that you can layer on top of each other. Like, the more time you take to make that decision, I think the better off you're going to be. So I think taking it slow is the way to go.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
What else you got?
I think we're going to see the pace of new construction increase, and I think that is something that's going to be. It's literally and figuratively, it's going to open lots of doors for people. I think. Yeah. There are like federal government incentives to like open up either, you know, abandoned office buildings and create, you know, housing, residential housing, or, you know, maybe take some federal land that's been set aside for, you know, no other purpose and maybe convert that into some kind of, you know, housing.
The malls.
Or like malls. Yeah, why not?
I think that's the coolest thing, converting a mall into like a condo space. Sorry, but
yeah, who doesn't want to live in a Forever 21?
Exactly. I don't know.
No, but I think it's creative things like that. So I think, you know, maybe it's repurposing existing construction or building new construction on land that was previously not been able to been used, or whatever the case is. I think, you know, there's a lot of hoops that it takes to go through building a house, you know, developing the land and things like that. I think maybe that gets a little bit easier, and I think that maybe, again, more doors open because first of all, we need it. But secondly, I think that it's going to become easier, so more people are going to be able to do it.
Yeah, and it's funny. We compared notes before we were jumping on the podcast here, and I saw Tim had new construction, and that was like lingering in my head because I kind of feel the same way. Like new construction, it was talked about a lot in 2025, at least people that I spoke to. Yes. So I know it's a topic of conversation at least. So I definitely agree with you on that one. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. It is. What else?
So I only have one more.
Okay, same.
But I feel like this one, you and I had spoke about it, so I think we kind of feel the same about it. But and you can kind of touch on what you think. So I think interest rates will be moving, meaning I do think that they will go down a little bit, maybe do a dip or two, but I don't think they're going to dip by a lot. I think we wrapped up, let's say 2025, December 2025, where interest rates were 6.5%, maybe a little bit lower.
Yeah.
I don't see them being much lower than that, but I think inflation's still going on, so that's something that people are still talking about and worrying about and all that stuff. I think the Feds kind of want to look at how the economy's doing and assess the data they collect from that, and then they're going to decide how they kind of want to shift the interest rates.
Yep.
So what will the interest rates be? I have no clue. I have no idea. But I do think they'll move a little bit. I don't think that they're going to, when they do move, I don't think that they're going to stay at their rate for very long. I noticed that in 2025 as well. It was like a quick dip, right back.
Yeah.
Quick dip, right back.
No, I agree. I do think we'll see, we're seeing lower rates than we've seen in quite a while, which is really nice, for us, right? Like, to me, it's like a psychological thing. Once interest rates dip below 7%, buyers become interested in buying again. And so we've been pretty consistently under 7% for months now. Like Tanner said, we ended 2025, low sixes, mid sixes, somewhere around that range. Again, rates change every day and even sometimes during the day, so it's hard to say exactly where rates left off. But if you're looking at rates in like the low to mid sixes, I think, in 2026, you probably see like the lower end of that, lower sixes. You might even have some days where it dips into the fives.
Oh,
I know. That's a bold prediction.
Whoa there.
But like Tanner said, I don't think we're going to see rates stay in the fives. I don't think that's where they're heading. Don't get me wrong. I would love it if that happened. But I think, like the days of, 3 and 4% interest rates, it's like, it's almost like wishing gas was 99 cents again. Like, we all know that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If it does, there's something catastrophic going on, and you're going to wish that gas was more expensive or that interest rates were higher. And so,
well, what had happened the last time we had a major dip in rates? What was going on?
Yeah, the pandemic. I mean, that was
something nobody could have predicted.
We're not looking for that to happen again. So, right. But I do think that as the economy becomes a little more healthy, we're going to see a new Fed chair next year or this year. I think that maybe that does something. Maybe that has rates a little bit lower too. But I think if you're sitting back on the sidelines thinking, I'm going to wait to buy a house until like prices dip, probably not going to happen, or interest rates dip significantly, again, probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
You're waiting for things that probably are never going to come around. And so, the right time to buy is when it's the right time for you, not because housing prices are down or rates are down. It's the right time for you. You've been able to save enough money. You feel comfortable going through the process. Rates will be whatever rates are. We can't control where interest rates go, but you can control when you are ready to buy a house and when you're ready to take that step forward.
Yeah. Yeah. Just kind of be in control of your own avenue. Don't freak yourself out. So, yeah. There's a lot
to freak out about. It's a lot. It's scary to buy a house. We have tried to bring the psychological part of that process to this podcast, and I think that that's a very real part of it. There's also a financial part, right? Like you need interest rates to be a certain amount to be able to afford a certain housing price. So, when it's right for you, it's right for you.
Yeah.
Right?
We're just giving you kind of reality.
We are keeping it real over here. But that's all I got for 2026. I think it's going to be a good year. I think it's going to be, we're going to see more buyers, more inventory, hopefully a little bit lower rates. And I think all of those things together signal a healthier economy, healthier buyers. Hopefully there's some sellers that make some money on the sale of the house and, ride off into the sunset and go buy the house that they're looking for somewhere else. And we're all happy and healthy.
Yeah. And if you have any questions ever, you know who to ask.
We're here. We're here.
We are here.
All the time.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Happy New Year.
All right. Bye.
Bye.